If you haven't already done so, please make sure you open up that chat box, add where you are coming in from. I did see one from Egypt. I do think that could be the longest. Oh, wait, there's more. Anyways, welcome. We are global now. Excited to have all of these exciting participants on the call. We have a couple great presenters we're excited to have on the call today, all about making your dashboards more accessible. I think, right, I've been doing this for many years. You kind of get in the rut of just making some simple vizzes, and you take for granted your abilities. And so I'm so excited to have Roshni and Doc on here today to share with us some insights and to think, to push us to think a little bit outside of what we may normally do regarding building and thinking about making sure our dashboards are accessible for all. So welcome today. We have 3 community member leads now. So we are joining, we are welcoming Raquel to our leadership team. So grateful for her to join us in here. We have some great events lined up for the remainder of the school year, and it looks like our community membership is up another 25. So exciting news, growing here. Though there's only just shy of 50 on this call, we know that many do log in afterwards and watch the recording. So appreciate the time that our presenters take to prepare for this. We know that their reach is well beyond those who are truly attending live today. All right, I am Stephanie Henry. I'm one of the co-leads here for the National K12 User Group. I've been in education analytics for over 20 years. I started my career in analytics with Chico Unified School District here in Colorado, where I'm based out of. Since transferred over to Plant Moran in the analytics space, where now I can help customers all over the country with their analytics needs. So excited to be able to still continue to lead and support the Tableau efforts within the education space. Been using it a while. I think I downloaded Tableau trial back in 2013. One of my favorite things is TC conferences. Been to everyone where you know they were live and in person. Looking forward to mentioning here in a bit the TC 26 and being able to see some familiar faces there again. Fun fact: love live music, especially country music. Went to 7 concerts in 2024. I do have to admit, I purchased 2 tickets to Morgan Wallen for next summer. So, you know, got to go twice. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to David.
But Stephanie, you've been to 10 TCs. That's terrific.
I love conference. Got to go. Got to justify it. Yep. Love it. So I work for Plant Moran. We are a sponsor, gracious enough to let me join and lead these efforts and facilitate some of these conversations. We offer Tableau professional services from some mentoring to hands-on support, as well as some data analytics services. So if you're looking for anything analytics related or tech, you're coming up for an audit, need help with cybersecurity, AI governance, reach out, let us know. Would love to continue to support this space and just give a little plug for the company that allows me to give up time during my workday to support you all.
And I am David Ogden. I am the assessment facilitator for the Great Renton School District. We use Skyward as our student information system, and I have a partner who makes terrific dashboards, and I get to imitate them. You can find me also. My most recent imitation is on Tableau Public. I started back in 2015 with Tableau and haven't looked back. And I am a former French teacher. Another fun fact was at one time when I was teaching in Georgia, I was the only football coach and French teacher in the whole state, the only one of those 2 combinations right there. But happy to be a co-lead here, and I want to give more time to our newest co-lead, Raquel.
Okay, I got it. Hi, good morning, well, afternoon, everyone. My name is Raquel Vandenas, and I'm the new co-lead for the K12 Tech Group. I've been working in education for over 10 years, going all the way from the classroom to data visualization and lots of things in between. Started with Tableau in 2021 for a data project and just loved it so much that I changed careers to start working with data visualization, and we've been together ever since. Fun facts is that I love to travel and to eat. Been to 19 countries and a lot more to go. So here are the next upcoming dates for our K-12 meetings. The next one will be January 14th, and we're going to focus on prep. And the following date is March 4th, which we're still thinking about topics. So if you have any goal ideas, just let us know. And then May 5th through the 7th, we have Tableau conference and the networking event for the K-12 group. And the following date is June 26th. And again, we are looking for topics. If you have any ideas, we are more than glad to hear. And one of my favorite things about Tableau, the biggest community I've ever seen, so the K-12 Data Fam, and all its resources. Here we have some helpful links that can help you start it or just learn a bit more about the topic and everything we have going out there. And again, one of the biggest things about Tableau for me is just the community. It's just so great to have so many people that are passionate about data visualization and that are willing to share what they know with everybody else. So I totally recommend. I'm totally into reading and seeing what people are doing out there, and that's where I get most of my inspiration from. And if you happen to be in London between December 2nd and 3rd, you can probably join the Data Fam Europe, where they're going to have some cool events, some sessions, workshops, and lots of people.
All right. Raquel can go take care of her little one, I think. We know that she's multitasking, and we are grateful that you were able to still join with us this morning, Raquel. So we are just here to remind you there's some great online opportunities for you to grow in your professional development. We'll be adding some links here in the chat soon. Tableau Learning Hub, some free resources, some certification. Reflecting on certification, it's, what's in it for me. And I think, pushing yourself, getting you to kind of grow in your professional career, I think is always helpful. It may provide opportunities for you in your current role or your current position. If you're looking to expand outside of where you currently are, certification, I think, definitely helps in that space. So oftentimes people ask me, is it worth it? And I think, it's all up to you to own your career growth and path. And so if you're looking for that piece, a lot of great online resources out there. And again, we'll put some links out there. Part of that is their Salesforce Trailhead, a lot of modules that get you to focus in on specific topics and navigate through, and you earn badges. They call it gamification. I'm sure you all are familiar with that, especially in your current state with your schools, and then also likely within your own adult learning space. And then Viz of the Day. Out there on Tableau Public, you can sign up for Viz of the Day. You get that daily inspiration sent to your inbox. We know we build off of templates for consistency within our schools, but sometimes you just want to step outside of the box and get a little bit of inspiration. And so I love Viz of the Day. It may not be super applicable in the moment, but might get you to think about a Viz that you've done in the past that you want to reimagine. Or you're starting a new project and want to take bits and pieces, whether it's layout or color, how the data flows from top to bottom, right? It doesn't have to be a replication. It's just out there for inspiration. So encourage you all to sign up for Viz of the Day for sure. And then the next slide also transitions over to that Tableau Public. Tableau Public is out there, a lot of great things. If you want to stay focused in education, search for some of your peers, search for K-12 or education. If you're looking for a specific topic like attendance or discipline, just use those key search, look for some of your peer work. Once you find a Viz you like, pop up to their profile and explore some of their other pieces that they have out there. I think that's just a great way. You can also favorite them and kind of create your own collection of some of your favorites to get inspired by.
Okay, yeah. So talking about Tableau Public, today is International Journalists Day. And so if this is your chance to practice your chat. If you are more of would celebrate it more about going to 60 minutes route, or kind of amazed by the number of journalists killed over the past couple of years, let us know whether you're more 60 minutes, you like that dashboard, or the journalist killed dashboard. Not that you prefer journalists to be killed, but that you like these kind of different styles. 60 minutes. Thank you, Peter. Again, it's a chance for you to exercise your typing skills. There we go. Got some. That's right. Terrific. Okay, so we got a couple more special things here today. Today's not only International Journalist Day, but it is also Geographic Information Systems Day. Oh my gosh, the GIS. Isn't that amazing? So here's a couple of maps here. The 3 ways to use Tableau data. That's a nice one if you want to look it up. It's also, all of these are on Tableau Public. And then the recreation of John Snow's cholera map, which is one of the early data vizzes to help identify how diseases spread. Which would you prefer? To learn more about that, or to learn more about diseases? Yes, the doc says these colors can be troublesome, yes, but we'll learn about that shortly. Oh, wildfires, there we go, yes. Yes, David's choices here seem to be full of death and destruction. I apologize for that, I didn't notice that before. Let's see, we got one more here for you. It is also National Lewis Day. And this weekend is, of course, the F1 Formula race in Las Vegas. Some of you may be going to that, or you may prefer Lewis Lattimore, who many of you may not have known about before. But again, these are Lewises that you can find on Tableau Public. As a French major, I thought I would find something on Jerry Lewis, but never did. So we have these other famous Lewises. Oh, yes. Thank you, Michaela. Michaela is keeping me up to date. I appreciate that. He's no longer with Mercedes. That's right. Doc's got a different favorite for his F1. All right. But all of these are all out there. And fun to look, fun to get inspiration from. Spend some time going through Tableau Public. You might even find me on Tableau Public. I've got a couple there. But I will actually be showing one if you join the higher education tug later today. I get to be the spotlight later today on the higher education tug. But if you like this, well, it's not me though, is it? Somebody else is talking about Iron Viz.
Yes, that's me. So one of my favorite Tableau things is Iron Viz. I look forward to it every year. And this year, Roll Drum, the theme is food and drink. So you truly cannot go wrong with that. And if you want to put your head in the race, you have about 2 days left to submit to the qualifiers.
And I know you can't get enough of the K12 tug. And so one of the things that's happened is that Tableau has now changed from their communities, which is a place you know and love. We had lots of members. These community groups are now read-only. So now take your posts, share your questions, say your things about K12, and we'll move to this new address. Oops, if I can get it there, which is the Tableau neighborhood in Trailblazers Community Neighborhoods Tableau. You go here, you'll find a bunch of forums that you can learn from. Tableau also likes to promote, because they're owned by Salesforce now, they like to promote Slack. I know many of us in the K12 world can't participate in Slack, but this is where you can ask questions, share questions, find out more from the data fam. And a wonderful place to, as it says, ask questions, get answers, stay connected. Now is the opportunity to share your announcements. What have you been doing now? Anything new? Did you put something up on Tableau Public? Do you have an opportunity to share? Put it in the chat. Anything you're proud of, some recent achievements, weddings, births. This is where we use our teacher wait time as well. Any November birthdays out there among the 60 of us that are here? Anybody? We'd love to wish you a happy birthday. Oh, nominated as a Tableau ambassador. Congratulations, Zaid. Oh, Dion's going to have a birthday on the 27th, right near Thanksgiving, or U.S. Thanksgiving. Alex has been creating some absentee dashboards for the district. Terrific. And Bart also had a birthday. He is much older now, 12 days older than he was. Well, I guess it's always 12 days, but the birthday was 12 days ago. Terrific. Thanks for sharing. We appreciate you. It helps us know that you're out there and that you are part of this community. We appreciate having you here. We appreciate all that you do to spread the love of Tableau. And because you're here, guess what? You'll have the opportunity for a fabulous prize. No, it's not a trip to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. No, instead, it's $50 credit at the Tableau store. What we'll be doing is we'll have two opportunities. As long as you're here, you must be present to win. You'll have the opportunity to get this. And if you are not eligible because of state or local laws, please let me know and I'll opt you out. But if you are eligible and it needs to be less than 50, we can do that. We can split it up, but haven't had that problem yet. So stick around for all the presentations and the fun drawing or wheel drawing that we'll have later on. Now we've got our community spotlight. It is my pleasure to introduce to you a terrific Tableau user who will also be featured in January. She gets a double dose here of Kate Ori.
Hi, I'm Kate Ori. I'm the data and assessment analyst at Chico Unified in Northern California.
And who's that with you there, Kate?
And that's my dog, Layla. She goes on all the adventures with me. Her fun fact is that she has her own Instagram, Layla the Adventure Dog. Anybody ever needs to know what to do with their dogs, that is the best. And I'm just going to talk briefly today about my Tableau journey at Chico Unified. This is my LinkedIn information there. It'll be at the end as well. Oh, there we go. So I started about 4 years ago, coming right out of, I got to join the school district as the school district was also coming out of COVID as an admin specialist. My background is in everything. I've jumped around all over the place. And so I'm not one of those folks who came in from teaching or anything like that. I just kind of came in and was looking for something to do and learned pretty quickly what the landscape was in education data. And the most interesting thing I got to do was listen to all of the questions that came up in all the meetings I got to sit into and learn that the questions they were asking and the things they thought were impossible to learn were all in those mountains of data. We just had to figure out how to get into that information. This is a little bit about my school district. If you can see, and I apologize for what I'm assuming are very bad color choices, but that little pink dot right in the square at the top of California is my city of about 100,000. That's Chico. We have 12 elementary schools, 3 junior highs, which are really middle schools, but we call them junior highs, 2 comprehensive high schools, 4 alt ed sites, 2 special programs. That's our preschool and adult SPED programs, and 1, I forgot to put on here, 1 online school as well. So that's kind of our lay of the land. The biggest thing that changed the data game at Chico Unified is Tableau Prep. When I first got started, as I said, we were kind of had all these mountains of data available to us, but nobody really knew how to get in there or what to do with them. We were drowning in messy spreadsheets, spending hours on manually cleaning up and reconciling data. We'd throw it all into Tableau and then just be met with this giant mess in there. And one day I was kind of tooling around in the Tableau website and I found this weird looking graph, and it was a representation of Tableau Prep. And I asked my boss if we could download that and play with it. And it completely changed everything we do. I'll talk more about that in January. But through working with cleaning up our data and getting easier access and answering those questions from those meetings a lot better, my role shifted from fixing all of those little data problems and reconciling and all of that manual hard work to now being part of actually strategically solving problems and being part of those conversations about what happens in the future rather than just fixing what we've done in the past. So last year, we created the position of data and assessment analyst, and I was able to apply for that and put the skills that I've learned in the last 4 years, as well as skills that I have generally to use there. So that's also been a boon to me. I can go ahead. So today, what our Tableau framework looks like is we use Tableau for admin. We don't have kids or teachers with access to it, except unless you're a specialized leader or teacher. But it mostly goes to admin at all of our sites and at our district level. We have 4 different categories of dashboards that you'll look at. One is landing pages, and I'll have an example of that in a second, but it's an overview of a variety of data. Explore, which lets you really dig into the nitty gritty, and I make those available for a number of people, but there's 5 or 6 leaders in our school district who really have the skills to understand what they're looking at and really want to dig in and ask questions and learn more about what's going on at their sites that way. Present, which is just, I've created a way to, I set it up within our parameters for board meetings and things like that, so that folks can tell me which data sources they need or which elements they need to present on. We work together and we create live up to the minute or up to the month data that they need to present to the board. And then report, we have pivoted from manually, digging through spreadsheets or getting it from a million different sources to doing all of that work in prep, and all of our state reporting data comes directly out of Tableau, and we just click a button and cut and paste, and that's our state reporting at the end of the year. So our landing page has been the big success. It's a one-stop administrator hub of just their site overview that provides a comprehensive snapshot of everything they need to know right now, and then they can click in further to learn more. And it's a good conversation starter designed to help them learn what questions to ask, learn what they need to dig into, and then also tell me what's missing and what matters to them at their school site that I'm not covering. So this is an example in the next slide of that site overview for one of our junior high schools. And it'll give them a day-to-day glance at attendance rates, targeted case manager and counseling contacts, major discipline, their most recent major tests. So this one was about CASP, because we talk a lot about CASP. And then Kelvin is a system we use for surveys. So it tells you what your percent favorability was overall for your school site along each of those 4 different categories of folks that we focus on in particular based on our state reporting and what we have noted as groups that need special attention. So our English learners, our students with disabilities, and our foster or homeless kids. I've also added, since I put this up, because I had it in some old iteration and the administrators begged to have it back, there's also a little corner now that has all the birthdays for the students and the staff members each day. But these are just kind of things that administrators think are magic to be able to put all these things together. But it's really just pulling from different data sources that run daily or multiple times a day. On the next slide. So our strengths and challenges as a district are we have these great robust flows that use a lot of complex data. It's sophisticated calculated fields. We have some great graphic mapping capabilities, but our biggest challenges are everyone needs to be able to understand what we're putting out there. That's a big part of it, is being able to translate a lot of this complex data into ways that people understand and can see and react to quickly, especially administrators who have 5 minutes of their day to look at the charts and graphs. Maintaining consistent quality across multiple systems. So we have, everybody here knows the cleanliness of data varies wildly from system to system, and making sure that we're using the cleanest possible version of everything and that everyone is consistently looking at something good, and training users while keeping dashboards intuitive. So I'm trying to always make it just a little bit more complex than everyone can understand, so that there's more information in there that they will be useful and they can still get it, they can still understand it, but they're also learning along with me how these things work. And our next steps, we've actually already started these, is data chats, which has been wonderful. My boss, the director of assessment and accountability, and his boss, the director of ed services, goes out. They both go out and meet with the administrators of each site once. I think we're going to do it once a semester. And they sit down and they go over that site overview, and they go over a couple of other dashboards. And I have a missing data dashboard that goes over all the dirtiness in our SIS. And they use that to talk about how they're using data, making sure that they are using data to make their decisions and to understand their school sites, to find out where the gaps are, and to encourage them, because there's always a story in there of, look at how well you have grown in science, and we wouldn't know this if we weren't looking at this data, and look at how well your students are doing here, and here's some areas for growth. And we are more and more having to report on equity and understanding our equitability in education. And so we're refining our ability to do that better and find better ways to analyze our results. So my just like quick, whoever I am, advice to K12 users is to learn together. I think the greatest benefit that that I've had is learning Tableau alongside the school district, because I got lucky with when I started that the school district didn't know a lot about data analysis in the ways that we talk about it in Tableau communities. And I only knew a little bit. And then as I grew more, they grew more, and we were able to kind of grow alongside each other. And to invest in Tableau Prep early, I cannot say more things about Tableau Prep. I will talk about it all day long if you don't stop me, because it really is the backbone of our dashboards that make sense and that work. And that's all I have to say, unless anybody has any big burning questions.
Well,
also reach me there.
That's terrific, and I'm glad to hear that Tableau Prep was your gateway drug. Tableau. I also really enjoy Prep, and I liked sharing that. So how did you? What is it about you that you think attracted you to Tableau?
I am a person who has always liked organizing information. When I was little and my friends and I would play school, I would maintain the grade books for each imaginary kid. And so I really like being able to, at a glance, pull together relationships between groups of information. And that's just how my brain works. And it's what Tableau is built to do.
And you're now the community spotlight. How did you become the community spotlight for others that want to know about community spotlight? And then you can answer a question from Jonathan here.
I replied to David's email.
It's that
David,
easy.
Sent out an email, and I'm sure you can directly email him as well, saying, "Hey, was anybody interested in presenting or being our community spotlight in the future?" And so all you got to do is let them know, and they'll give you time to talk to everybody.
Terrific.
Make you feel special.
Well, you did a great job. But if you can answer Jonathan's question here,
Oh,
is
sorry.
Tableau Prep a data storage system? Do you have to have a separate solution for storing all the data? Sorry if this is a silly question. No, not a silly question at all, Jonathan.
So it kind of depends on how you use it is the short answer. If you're using desktop Tableau Prep, there's no storage involved. You have to have your data where your data is. We use Tableau Server, and I believe also if you use Tableau Cloud, when you add your data sources to your to Tableau Prep, it will also become a storage area for that. But what I mostly use it for is directly linking into our SIS. So I have an API connection to our SIS. And that's where I get a lot of that data, and then I pull in the other data. So it's not technically a data storage system, but you can kind of tweak it to use it that way if you have server or cloud.
Yeah,
it's more of a data cleaning process.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a great software tool that helps you clean or move through and see mountains of data in a really quick way. It's also visual, so it's so come in. If you haven't heard of it, you haven't used it, or you want some new tips for how to use Tableau Prep, make sure you come to our event in January. We're looking forward to seeing you there. But let's give a round of applause to Kate. Thank you very much for being the spotlight. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And now it's time. It's prize time. I've set the bill. I've got everybody, including you, Deepali, who just came in. Let's find out who now gets the spin. And now we will spin the Data Love Wheel of Names. And our first $50 gift card recipient goes to, oh, just missed your top, Nicole Henson. Hooray, Nicole. So Nicole, reach out to me, let me know your email address, and we will send you a gift card. But you don't get to win twice, so now your name is removed. Okay.
All right, so we have our next presenter. We're going to focus on building accessible dashboards. Super excited to have Doc here with us. He is coming to us, it looked like from the chat, from Arkansas, but assigned to Louisiana Tech. There's a story there. We'll have to connect at some point. Love me some Arkansas. I was just there a couple weeks ago. So we're excited to have Doc here to chat with us about being mindful about our dashboard design and approach, expand our thinking about users with different abilities than we may have sitting in our desk at work or designing for public-facing dashboards on community as well. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Doc. Excited to see your presentation and to inspire us to think bigger.
All right, thank you much. I'll get my timer started so that I can cut off at about 20 minutes. I could talk about this all day and do. What I've done is I've taken my presentation from TC23 and I've cut it down some to try and fit it in a much shorter time frame. I have way too many slides. At TC23, I went through 209 slides in about 45 minutes. I think I've got 40 some odd slides here that I'm going to try and do in 20 minutes. So that's easy peasy. No problem at all. I'm totally colorblind, and I help folks with their colors, because if you are totally colorblind, it's been much harder for me to learn my colors. But once I've learned my colors, I know them really well, and I can really help you out with your colors. And we're all a little colorblind, and we need to be cognizant of that and make efforts to do the right thing, which is be cognizant of our colors. I always like to throw the forward-looking statement in there just to remind folks I don't work for Tableau. In fact, later on when I make fun of Tableau, you'll definitely know I don't work with Tableau. So don't make any purchase decisions based on my presentation, but please think about your colors after my presentation. And so today we'll talk about colors, how we actually see them, how we don't see them, who's colorblind. It's not really an on or off. It's not a small percent. My theory and my research shows that everybody has varying degrees of colorblindness. We'll take a quick test, let you see how to take a test for it. Most people have not been tested properly. And so we can talk a bit about that. I'll show you what it looks like in the real world to be colorblind using my favorite example. My dad loves his steak, or my dad loved his steaks well done. My mom liked them very rare. And so we'll take a look and you will get to see how steaks look to those of us who are colorblind. Now, you know that colorblindness is a big deal. It's not something to be ignored. I'll give you some advice of some simple things that you can do to make them better. And I'll show you some tools. And so this is all in the slide deck. So if I don't get to all the slides, no problem. The very last slide has the QR code. You can jump out and grab the full slides and take a look at them more in depth if there's anything that I skipped over way too fast, which of course will be most of this. So I've got to throw some humor in here. I love pie charts. I'm a pie chart defender. So are you colorblind? Most of you are going to say no. Some of you will say no, but in red. You probably all are a little bit colorblind. So how do we see colors? Most of you have been taught wrong since grade school. In fact, some of you teaching in grade school may be teaching it wrong. So let me help you. We see things in red, blue, green, not the color wheel. So you were taught that yellow and red make orange, and yellow and blue make green, and red and blue make purple. That's not how we see. We see with red, blue, and green, just like your monitors are RGB monitors. Typically, they display colors RGB, which is good. They match up. And so as you can see, red and green actually make yellow. So at least one thing I've done today for many of you is blow your mind. Yes, you mix red and green and we make yellow. That's how we actually see things. We have cones and rods in our eyes. Cones allow us to see things during the day. Rods allow us to see things in the evening. So the more bright it is, it's easier to see color. At night, it's harder to see color. That's why a lot of older folks who are starting to go colorblind, as they are losing cones and rods in their eyes, don't like to drive in the evening. It's a scientific fact. They're losing some cones and rods, which causes them to have some trouble seeing things, anything, because you need your cones and rods to be able to see things. So typical eyesight, you see red and green and blue, and red and green kind of overlap quite a bit. And so that's why red and green color blindness tends to be the most often type that we find, or that people know. Folks who don't have any green cones or rods in their eyes do not see the green, so they see everything in combinations of red and blue. So it makes it a little difficult for them to see a third of the color spectrum out there because they don't see green, but we do see it. It's just we don't see it the way you do. Lots of people poo-poo this and say, hey, it's only like less than 8% or less than 10% of the population. Why worry about it? Hey, I'm offended. But if that's your take, my point is everyone has some color blindness. It is not an on or off thing. Everybody has some color blindness. And if we make things so that me, who's totally colorblind, can see your colors, it's easier. Nobody's straining. It's not so hard. You throw up that dashboard, you say, there's Chico, and we can all see it. And we all go, yeah, we love Chico. I love going up to Chico State. I've done lots of training up there. Great place. But if we take care with our colors, it makes it easier for us to see. So again, if we looked at your eye and we saw all the cones and rods down there, it would look something like this image here, where you see lots of green, lots of red, and a little bit of blue. And so again, if I have trouble seeing green, I'm going to have a lot less green dots, or I may have no green dots. If I have trouble seeing red, I'll have less red cones or less red dots in this image. Or if I can't see red at all, I'll have no red dots here. Same with blue. And for me, they tell me I got none of those. I don't see any of those. So I've had to learn and teach myself what all the colors are. And it took me a while, but now I'm really good at it. If I didn't tell you I was totally colorblind and did this talk, you would not realize that I am totally colorblind. So here's one of my latest jokes. It showed up on Twitter, one of my favorite vices. The prevalence of color blindness around the world. This is the way I believe it is. It's very high, it's medium, it's low, it's everywhere around the world. They say that females have less color blindness, although it tends to be increasing. My daughter has color blindness, which should not happen. It should be passed from my mom to all of her sons. It should be passed from me to my daughter. And if my daughter has sons, it should go to her. That's what they tell us. But now we're finding that may not be the case. It doesn't tend to be as prevalent in Africans, although it has been increasing in Africa. So lots of our experts are not experts, and what they've been teaching you, it's been wrong. So again, it's not that color wheel. It's not yellow and blue making green. It's red and green actually making yellow. So we need to think in terms of red and green and blue, and help folks be able to see things more clearly, even if you're not totally colorblind like I am. So here's a quick test. I'm going to run through these real fast. We can go in a lot more detail. This could be 20 minutes in and of itself. But you may have some color blindness if any of these are a little difficult for you to see. So if any of these are a little difficult for you to see, then these test plates have been specifically made up to not have particular colors. And so if you're having trouble seeing it, then you may have a little bit of that type of color blindness. So again, this is what you should be seeing in those 635, 958, 5, 9, 10. But again, if you have trouble seeing a few of those, guess what? You may have never had anybody tell you, but you do have some color blindness. Here is showing how we can manipulate these plates and really refine it and really test and see what type of color blindness you have. So in the upper, get my things mixed up because I'm going too fast. In the upper left, there's no red. In the lower right, there is no green. In the upper right, it's too much green, and in the lower left, it's too much red. And so again, by having some of those not be as easy to see as others, then you have some color blindness, or maybe it's not a weakness in that color. You have some colors that you see that are more dominant than others. We can test our kids early on. They don't have to know their numbers or their alphabet or whatnot in these tests. So here we place an image and the kids can go, oh, here's what I see or don't see. And I was pleased that my son didn't have any color blindness when he was born. And I was surprised when my daughter did have some color blindness and had trouble seeing it, because all the experts had said, oh, females aren't going to have it much, and you're going to pass it to your grandkids will be colorblind, not your daughter. My daughter's colorblind. So here's a fun one. What do you see in this one? If you want to have some fun, put it in the chat what you're seeing in this plate. Going once, going twice. Sold. What do you see in this plate? Actually, there is nothing in this plate. Good job, folks who said nothing. This is my attempt at some humor, and it's also my attempt to show you what it looks like for me looking at all these plates. All these plates look this way to me the first time I see them, and I have to train myself in order to see those numbers, those images, those things that are in there. That would be a good pepperoni pizza, you're right. Might even have some pineapple on there, maybe some Canadian bacon, who knows. Could make a good pizza. You are absolutely correct. So again, I love to do these. Here's what it looks like to someone who has red color blindness, and they're looking at steaks. And they're trying to find for their dad, like I used to try and find for my dad, which one is well done. Or I'm trying to find it for my mom, which one is the most rare of all of these steaks. So throw into the chat, which one is the most well done? Which one is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Which one is the well done steak? You can't see red. seeing red is kind of important for you to be able to see which one's well done, which one is raw. So throw those in there, 1, 2, 3, or 4. It's actually 4 is the most well done. Although my dad would say that's not well done. My dad liked his just totally burned on the barbecue. My mom liked it still moving. And for me, they all look the same. So I had to train myself. This is rare. This is well done. It was important in my family. I did this at TC23, made fun of Tableau. I could do this with all of the other tools that are out there. They all have this same typical type of problem. Their color palettes are not that great. I've done this for Google. I've done this for Microsoft. I've done this for a lot of the Fortune 50 companies that I'm on NDA. I can't tell you I've done it for them, but I do this kind of regularly. So here is, and actually this is pretty old. I probably need to update this, but these are some of the standard color palettes in Tableau. This one is pretty much the default color palette. It's been tweaked a little bit, but it's not much better. And I noticed people love to do these pastel ones. Pastels are not good, folks, because pastels mean we've taken the color out. And those of us that have trouble seeing color, we need all the color help we can get. And taking color out to make things pastel is not good for us. So in general, I tell folks, stay away from pastel, please. It's not helpful. And so you can see what it looks like to me. Those pastels look like 2 or 3 different colors at most. Not those 10 different colors that you're seeing. And again, quite a few of the standard default palette doesn't work for me. And if you just pull out the first 3 colors from most standard palettes, 2 out of the 3 are going to look the same. And those of us that are colorblind are not going to like your dashboard and are not going to jump to the insights, and will have trouble seeing what's going on there. Yeah, if you're a vegetarian, doesn't make any difference. Yeah, I can multitask. I can kind of look at the chat while I'm zipping through my slides. But here's a fun one. Here's the Tableau colorblind palette. This solves it. Just choose this one. Use these 10 colors. 10 colors too many. Use these 10 colors and you will solve the problem. If I have green color blindness, maybe it's helpful, but several of these look the same. If you're me, several of those look exactly the same. And if you choose those colors from the colorblind palette, put it on there and check the box to say I made it accessible, I followed the expert guidance, you were fooled. It doesn't work. It's not that simple. We need to do better. And so most of the experts tell you don't use red and green. They're wrong. We had a famous example of this when the NFL went to Thursday night games. Buffalo was playing the Jets, and a bunch of people tweeted out, "Oh no, the people that are colorblind can't tell the difference between the 2 teams. Oh, this must be terrible for the colorblind. How could the NFL do this to us?" Actually, the NFL is doing us a favor. Over the weekend, I was watching a college game, and they had blue jerseys and white pants, and white jerseys and blue pants. They used to never allow that. I don't know why they allow it now. That's tough when you're moving fast, which is on your team, who's on the other. But again, we can see this. We see red and green. We just don't see it the way you do. They even somebody made a cheesy video, made them all look the same. And oh no, this is what it looks like, the colorblind. No, that's not what it looks like. If I have trouble seeing red, this is what it looks like. Notice the red of Buffalo is not as red anymore. But to me, it is still red. I see the red. I see the green. I can tell the difference. If you have trouble seeing blue, oh, now we're back to being able to see the blue and green fairly well. But if we had, I don't know, Detroit playing the Jets, blue and green out there, oh no, the people that are seeing blue would have trouble. No, we can tell the difference. Even me, who only sees shades of gray, that's how I've learned my colors, I can still see. And if you look at this long enough, this is red, this is green. They're definitely 2 different colors. It's not that we're blind to the colors. It's just we need more light on them. We need more contrast. We need more hues in order for us to see colors that are too close on the spectrum, or better yet, don't use 2 colors in the same spectrum. So you can use red and green. Here's a lot of red. Here's a green. The green is light. The red is dark. Even those folks who have trouble seeing green or have trouble seeing red, they'll be able to tell the difference. So I found this site. I think it may not be available anymore, so I don't know if the QR code still works anymore or not. It was actually for websites, and I've been using it in my talks ever since I found it on the website, because it really kind of goes along the lines of my basic advice that I give folks is don't use color alone to do things. So we do this all the time. We fill out forms and then it says error, and you have to go back and find the field that is red instead of green now and find it. Well, lots of times it takes me a while. Where's the error? I don't see the error. I'm trying to see the color change that they've done. I don't see it. Whereas if you use a symbol, show some arrows, put exclamation point there, more than just the color, you're helping everybody to see where the error is. And you're definitely helping folks who have some color blindness. And so just common sense kind of things. Keep it minimal. Again, these tools love to have 10 colors. Please don't put 10 colors on your chart. If you put 10 colors on your chart, everybody is going to see at least 2, 3, or more of those colors are going to look alike. You're looking at a legend, you're looking at a map, you're trying to find the color. You got 10 colors. It's way too many. You don't need 10 colors. You don't need 10 categories. Stop doing that. Here's another one that's fun for Tableau, folks. Put some patterns, some textures on these. Oh, well, you know what, Doc? Tableau doesn't allow it. Oh, but we've had it as a suggestion for many, many years. Please go find it and upvote it and tell them we need textures, we need patterns in our colors. That will help us see things. We want to work with the colors and hues. Again, don't use all those light pastel colors. Use alternately a light, a dark, a light, a dark. It will make it easier for everyone to see the difference. And again, avoid those bad color combos. And it's not green and red. It's not green and red. The internet standard for websites is you bring up a page of URLs, they're blue. You visit it, they turn it to purple. Why do you people do this to us colorblind people? I argue the most with my wife. This is navy, this is purple, this is purple, this is navy. No, it's not. It's out there, folks. Let's it's any of these colors that are too close. I taught at Ohio University for a while. Our colors were green and white. I'm like, fine, use the green and white, but use a dark green, not a light green. Make it darker. Put the dark green on the, put white on the dark green background. Don't put light green on a white background like they did all the time and made it hard for us to see the colors. So don't rely on color alone. Use some symbols, use some textures, use some patterns. Limit to 2 or 3. You don't need all those colors. Here's my favorite tools as I'm in my last minute. TopTal allows you to put a web URL and get to see it and try it out. Looking at it, can't see red, can't see green, can't see any color. It's fun. You can put your Tableau public, put your viz up on Tableau public, give it the URL and see what it looks like, and then adjust your colors accordingly. And hopefully, again, the QR codes work, but you can get all the slides later. Here's one of my other favorite tools, Coblis. It allows you to bring in an image. So grab a snapshot of your image of your chart, save it, bring it in. Like in this one, which one is the red crayon? There's a red crayon very prominently in this picture. There's a pink crayon right next to the red crayon. Can you tell the red and the pink? I can, but if you're colorblind, you might have some trouble. Color Bluer is another one that lots of folks use, but don't use 10 shades of green. It's too hard. Use 3 shades of green, 3 categories. The middle one is average. These are above average. These are below average. That's all you need. You don't need 10 categories of above, strongly agree, partially agree, marginally agree. Just those are all agree. These are in the middle. These disagree. 3 colors. Everybody can see it. You have less problems and issues. Last tool is the Adobe tool. It allows you to play with the colors and the hues. Again, don't do this. Don't put all these colors in your viz all next to each other. Spread them out. Go 1/3 of the way around the wheel. Pick a color here, here, here. Pick a color here, here, here. You'll make it easier for those of us that are colorblind. You'll make it easier for those of us who aren't. Got to do one last thing. I know I'm over time. Sorry, David. We got to talk about that dress. Remember the dress? oh, is it white and gold? Is it black and blue? How in the world can you see it as black and blue? How in the world can you see it as white and gold? It has to do with colorblindness, folks, and the colors that were around that dress. The dress was actually here in the middle. If you saw it and there were lots of light and lots of light colors around the dress, you saw it as white and gold. If it was very dark in the room where you first saw it and there was lots of dark around the dress, you saw it as black and blue, and you never unsee it. It stays the same. It all has to do with color blindness and making it easier. Don't use these colors if you're worried about color blindness. And again, my name is Dr. Kevin Lee Elder. There I am on Twitter. There I am on LinkedIn. There I am in email. And there's the QR code to grab all the slides so you can take more than the 10 seconds I flashed them on the screen for you and take a look at these. And I'd love to come in with an hour or two and do more with your organization if you're interested. Love to follow up with you.
Yeah, so big round of applause for Doc. Thank you for your lightning round. I wanted to make sure that people, instead of having to take quick screenshots or snapshots, know that this video and the slides will be available on our website. It is really great information. We appreciate all the things that you provide. And yes, do reach out to Doc. He's very friendly. We'll come in and help you. As I said before this, or as I put in the chat before, this presentation is brought to you by community request, wanting to know more about accessibility. So I hope those that had asked before about red and green and how to convince others that the stoplight's not always the best thing to use even though it's so prevalent in our dashboards, in our culture. Take a look at these 5 tips. I really do appreciate the tips about fewer colors. Let's see if there's anybody that has a particular question. Any questions? Yeah, so you may have to update your slides for the different pieces and parts for the QR codes, but that's okay. He'll send me the updated ones as well. But before you start, Roshni, we've got to do another drawing. It is time again for a drawing. So remember, we had this is how you can contact Doc. Oops, loading there. Doc, just if you need him, he is the assistant professor, computer science, our computer information systems. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Doc, for putting that in. And the second gift card, it is prize time again. Yes, cross those fingers. Oh, wait, Doc, before you go, we do have, Michaela had a lot of good questions here. Let's see. So let's see if you can just get this one first, Doc. We'll go back to you. Do you have suggestions for a single diverging color gradients?
Yeah, the diverging, whoops, am I on mute? No, I'm not on mute.
No, you're good.
For diverging colors, again, pick them from around the wheel. Don't pick them close, pick them pretty far away around the wheel, and it will be easier as you go. But again, if you're going to show 10 different gradients, too many of those are going to look the same to a lot of folks that have various forms of color blindness. So again, why do we need 10 gradients when 3, these are above, these are below, these are the folks in the middle. 3 really will get your point across and be easier for everybody to see.
And can even be shades of gray. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
the
gray palette is really good. Black and white on the ends, and then a gray in the middle, maybe a couple of grays, a dark gray, medium gray. But again, once you start going past 3, 4, 5, and 6, if you play with make it one light, the next one dark, the next one light, the next one dark, that will help us. But once you get past 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, you're introducing 4 colors that are probably going to look like 4 colors that are already there.
Great. Thank you for that question, Michaela. Appreciate it. Yeah. And do feel free to follow up with him and consult with him as well, or even have him look at your stuff, because he can see what you can't, and vice versa.
Yeah. And try the tools out. The tools are great.
All right. Thanks again. Now let's go back to this exciting card time. We will get back into our wheel of names. I think I got everybody who is here. If I missed your name, no, I got, oh, wait, Anita, you came in late. Let me grab you, Anita, and add you to this wheel here. Want to make sure everybody here has a chance. All right. Now we will click on the button. Are you ready? Drum roll in your own desks. Round and round and round she goes. Where she stops, only one person knows. All right, terrific. Andrea Smithson, you are the second winner. Please make sure you connect with me. Are you there, Andrea? Just make sure, because if you're not, then we can spin again. Give a quick yes in the chat. Are you still there? Yes. Okay. I will send you my email address, and then we will be able to. So thank you for playing. Don't leave now, though, because we have this wonderful presentation from my friend Roshni Gohil, who is going to take it away.
I'm going to try to take this away as fast as I can. I'm probably going to speak a little faster than Doc and probably speed through way more slides. So welcome to Accessibility Matters. Universal design means data for all. This was my presentation during the Tableau conference this past year. So I am Roshni Gohil, and I want to let you know that this talk was inspired by the Data Fam, and I hope that it inspires you to bring universal design and accessibility into your Tableau development process. So I'm going to introduce you to what universal design is through my own temporary impairment. I'll share what pre-attentive attributes are. We'll talk a little bit about color. Just going to skip a whole bunch of slides because Dot covered it way better than I would. We're going to talk about other pre-attentive attributes and the pop-out effect and what they tell us about universal design for visualization. And then we'll walk through a bunch of ways to use a little bit of color, size, and text to build some universally usable and accessible dashboards in Tableau. So what is universal design? Let me tell you about it through my recent, actually about a year now, old adventures in the fractured wrist department. So I work at MIT, and specifically, I recently moved to the Sloan School of Management, but I used to work in Matimco, which is the investment management company, aka the endowment. And our mission is to earn outstanding long-term investment returns for the institute so that students can get great educations and have access to opportunities. And so faculty and researchers can, continue to do the cool things that people do at MIT, which, make discoveries to better understand our universe and to solve the world's biggest problems. So one of Matimco's specific goals is to cultivate an ecosystem in Kendall Square, Cambridge, the home of MIT. So we want to not only engage and foster the larger community that MIT is part of, the residents of Cambridge, the students, the faculty and staff of MIT, their friends and families, but we also want to, engage those who work in or visit the city. And one of the ways we do that is through our real estate department, whose data and processes I supported as an analyst. So, we build buildings, we bring biotech, tough tech, all the other companies in the area, and yes, those are actual Lego models of some of the buildings that we've built out in Kendall Square. But we also want to bring out retail and community spaces to make Kendall Square come alive and be a place that people actually want to gather. So last summer, so summer 24, we hosted a pop-up roller rink in what was once a parking lot. You can still see those parking lot lines on that ground there. And yeah, it was a roller rink. We called it Rollerama at Kendall Common, and a local artist designed it. They painted this wonderful swirl mural, swanky sanky, brought in their friends to help with, with all the painting. There was live music, there's skate rentals for free. Don't know why we call them rentals, but whatever. There were learn to skate events, all sorts of free, amazing things that you could do there, all open to the public. And, there were food and beverage concessions and an opportunity to raise money for local nonprofits. And as Matimco employees, we got to test drive it at a friends and family event the day before it officially opened. So, I skated right over. So, all right. That day, we took Rollerama for a test glide. So we made sure that the waivers worked. We checked out the rentals. We celebrated all the work that our colleagues had done to get the space rolling. And, that first day, you can see I was a little shaky on the skates, but I did not fall. And I considered that a win. The next day, it was the first official day of business. Our summer interns, they were bad influences. They got me to go back out there on that Friday afternoon, and they really had to twist my arm. Again, I was a little shaky, but basic loops around the rink, no problem. We were all having a blast. And then I lost some balance. My glasses fell off my head. I fell. I used my hand to catch my fall. Small scrape on the palm. Glasses were fine. Thank goodness, they're expensive. And I came out of that first fall relatively unscathed. No big deal. So I got right back up and continued to skate, and then I fell again. This time, I also used that same hand to catch my fall. Glasses, they were fine, but the hand did not feel so okay. So I had to hang up my skates and just coast on out of there. Well, I mean, technically, my office dinosaurus, he stole those skates. I thought maybe I'd sprain my wrist. So a little rest, no knitting, a little ice, a little compression, stabilizing with a wrist brace, a little elevation, rice. Everything would be okay in a couple of days, right? Well, it wasn't. It wasn't. A few days rolled by, the initial hurt and swelling was gone, but in its place was a different kind of hurt. I was having trouble with little things like turning the handles on sink faucets, turning the doorknob on my front door. It hurt when I tried to squeeze water out of the sponge after washing dishes or stirring anything I needed to stir. Mm-mm. I should also mention that my hurt wrist was my left one. I'm a lefty, so everything, all of those things I tried to do, my go-to hand to do it was my broken, or what turned out to be a broken left hand. So, I went to MIT Health, got some x-rays, and sure enough, there's a fracture, tiny, tiny, tiny bone shards, tiny, tiny bone pebbles, I call them. I watched a little too much Flintstones. And there was no surgery, but I was stuck in a wrist brace basically the entire summer. I was medically cleared to do everything. I could go skating again. I could ride my bike, but I had to wear a wrist brace basically all the time. So I learned a couple things from this experience. First, listen to Mariah. I don't know how many of you guys remember the music video from 1995 for Fantasy, the one with ODB saying he and Mariah go back like babies with pacifiers. Well, what is Mariah wearing while she's rollerblading around the amusement park? I see wrist guards, I see knee pads, and there's probably some elbow pads underneath the hoodie. And my orthopedist did say I could continue skating provided I wear wrist guards, and I now have wrist guards and knee pads and elbow pads. They are literally 6 feet away from me. Skates are on the dinosaur 3 feet away from me. Anyway, he also told me that if I fall again, whether it's because of wheels or not, that instead of putting my hand out to catch myself, that I should tuck and roll. That's right, folks, tuck and roll. Last week, I tried to tuck and roll and failed. So same hand, different issue, fun times. Another thing that I learned is that door levers reign supreme. That's right. So all of those doorknobs that hurt to turn, they all looked like this. I had to grip the knob and then turn my wrist. And again, lefty, go-to gripping hand is my left hand, one that's attached to the fractured wrist. Fortunately, all the doors at my house have, except for the outside one, the exterior one, all those interior doors, they have levers, and levers are just easier to deal with. Whether you're carrying laundry, groceries, whatever it is, they simply require a press. There's no gripping, no turning. They don't even, in fact, require hands. There's one door in particular at Matimco where I would just walk through it with a mug of tea in one hand and a laptop on the other. Whichever elbow was closest to the door, that's the elbow that pressed down on the lever, opened the door. No need to use the hand. And while my fractured wrist healed, I had a partial temporary impairment, a disability with a lowercase d. Last summer, I just did not have the same range of motions, the same abilities as an uninjured but klutzy, note injury 10 days ago, klutzy but relatively able-bodied me. So that experience made me realize some examples of universal design that are all around us. Door levers are a great example. They're required by the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, in a lot of buildings, but they are universally usable regardless of ability and with no need for adaptation or specialized design. They promote equitable use. Anyone can use them, with or without a disability. Kids with tiny hands have an easier time with levers than doorknobs, as do those with arthritis or disabilities gripping, or turn with their hands or turning their wrists. Door levers are flexible. You can use them right-handed, left-handed. You can use your hand, your elbow, your forearm, your knee, your laptop, your mug of tea. They're simple, they're intuitive to use. It's easy to perceive how they're supposed to function. They're easy to operate. They require very little physical effort, and they're at the right level and big enough for most people attempting to use a door to actually use them. And these 7 universal design principles were developed by a working group of architects, product designers, engineers, and environmental design researchers led by Ronald Mace at the North Carolina State University. Their goal was to develop some principles that can be used to evaluate existing designs, educate users and designers about what makes products and environments more usable. Not going to call them out, but you will see them in action throughout this talk. Curb cuts are another familiar example. They're intended to provide access to users with disabilities, but they can be usable by everyone. So the slopes here, it just makes it easier for people to get up and down off of sidewalks and onto the street or across the street. There's no steps involved. So with a curb cut, people and dinosaurs in a wheelchair, using a motorized mobility device, or even a walker, are able to get to street level safely so that they can cross the street. In riding my bike around Cambridge, I've seen plenty of cases where without visible disabilities, we're using those curb cuts, like this 4-year-old on a scooter, followed by a lady pushing a stroller, or a delivery driver with a heavily loaded hand truck trying to make a drop-off, or a couple walking their tiny, tiny dog, could barely reach the top of the curb, but could easily walk up the curb cut, or the person with a foldable shopping cart going on a grocery run because I work and live in a city. And not to mention the couple times that I myself had my bicycle and was walking with friends, so I rolled my bike across the street crossings. So who uses curb cuts anyway? The curb cut effect, this phenomenon where a larger population benefits from the positive externalities designed to help individuals with disabilities, it's something that we see all over our lives. So who uses speech to text to send text messages, or text to speech to hear messages via Bluetooth in their car? How many folks turn on closed captioning on their TVs? All of this technology was designed to improve accessibility for those with disabilities, but it has a much broader usage. So these innovations were designed for disability first, but universal design goes a step further and says our goal isn't to design for the exception, the disability, the other. Rather, we should design more inclusively with an eye to remove barriers for use for everyone from the outset. So build to address a larger range of abilities rather than to solve for a specific disability. And the challenge is sometimes universal isn't really going to work for everyone. In fact, NACE's first name for this movement was barrier-free design. So truly accessible design, sometimes it isn't a this instead, but it really should be a yes and. So here we have the stairs and the ramp. The stairs are there, they're quicker for those who are able-bodied, but the ramp, it provides crucial access to the building. It may be the slow and long way to get in, but you can still get in. And there's actually a second set of stairs that, if we'll have time, doubtful, we'll come back to. So how does this all apply to Tableau? Well, like I said, we're going the long way. We're going to take the ramp to get there. But first, we need to count our steps. So you've probably seen a demo like this before. I'm adapting it from where I first saw it in one of Colin Ware's books, Informational Visualization, Perception for Design. So this is audience participation time. How many 8s do you see inside this little rainbow frame here? Feel free to throw the answer in the chat. I see an 8, and yes, that is the correct answer. It probably took a lot of scanning through the rows and columns, though, to count the 8s. So our message here, it's hard to find a data point in a sea of sameness. So how about now? How many 6s? The answer is 5. But every 6 here is a darker intensity or darker shade or color intensity than the non-6s. I'm hoping that even Doc could see that. So how many 7s here? And 3 is the answer. It was probably very easy because the 7s are in a different color. That different color or hue can make the data pop. So color matters, as we saw from Doc's presentation. So how many 5s? All right, 3 is the answer. I didn't mean. So yeah, so this frame, you had to count or work through every single row and column just like that first one. But the rainbow of colors was probably a bit distracting. Was not helpful. So how many 3s do you see here? 8. There are 8, and that data point that we're looking for, it's bigger than all of the others. So increasing the relative size of something can make it easier to see. Size matters. How many 0s? I saw a very quick 9, and 9 is indeed the right answer. They're easy to see because they had some added weight to them, so making a number bolder makes it pop. How many 9s? Saw some very quick 11s, and this is the most so far. It may have taken a while to count them, but they are probably amongst the easiest to see. Why? Because we've compounded some of the features we've already seen. The 9s are bigger, they're bolder, and they're in Technicolor. So shape is another feature that can make a mark pop. It can be combined with color or other attributes, but when shape and color mean two different things, that interplay could have unintended consequences. So here, you might have gotten a little bit thrown off by the non-orange circles. An object's position with respect to others can make it more salient, like these 2s that are offset from the other marks. So can enclosures like this and grouping like that. So all of these features that we've seen are called pre-attentive attributes, and they contribute to what Colin Ware calls the pop-out effect. So when they're used thoughtfully, a combination of pre-attentive attributes will make certain marks or annotations more salient than others. They will help things stand out or pop out. And visualization research has demonstrated that certain features are more effective at conveying information, and they have more of a pop-out effect. And some are more expressive. They're better suited to express a specific type of data attribute. For example, if you want to show color use color to show quantity, you wouldn't use random colors like the categorical ones on the right. Instead, you'd use a gradient of the same hue like on the left. Remember what Doc said? A few colors, not 10. And you'll want to let these ideas of expressiveness and effectiveness color your approach as you go to apply pre-attentive attributes in your work. So we're going to talk very quickly about colors. So this is my remote work setup at my mom's house. We've got the laptop at the bottom, we've got the monitor above it, and then another external monitor attached on the right. They're also to show the same orange desktop background, but clearly they don't. So Cindy Lauper, there's no true color shining through here. And that's apparent when you look at a dashboard like this one. This is Andrew Kubrel's visual vocabulary, the deviation tab, and I kind of love this diverging stacked bar chart. So we're going to look at that. Here we have two different sets of colors. We've got blues and oranges for the agree and disagree, and then in the middle is a gray for neutral. And there are two shades, both the blue and the orange, and they're pretty easy to tell apart on the laptop at the top, or sorry, on the external monitor at the top, but on both of the other screens, not so much. And this is something that I experience all the time. So this is a conference room at Matimco. So on the wall, there's a bunch of windows, lots of light coming in. There's a projector on the wall that projects onto a screen in front of one of the windows. There's a monitor on the wall across from the other. And then my laptop was sitting somewhere right below that main monitor and centered in front of it. And so I took all of these images, and this is like ideal. This is when the lights are off, the shades are closed, and it can be sunny or shady outside, does not matter because the shades are blocking out all the light. This is the only situation in which I can actually see all of the colors well enough, in most cases, to be able to tell what's going on and where the cutoffs are. And even, when you zoom in, it's a little bit easier here. But how many times do you think I've actually been in this room with all the lights off and the shades closed and all of that? The answer, pretty close to 0. So most of the time, at least one of the screens is completely washed out. It's really hard to see the light blue and the gray, especially. And when it's partially sunny, again, no dice, only the monitor seems to be a little successful. And if we turn on the lights, nothing. In order to see anything on that laptop, I actually have to zoom way in to see where the light blue and the gray meet in the slowest bar. And again, the monitor, pretty clear, but that picture, it was taken from straight on, right front and center. If you were looking at an angle, or if the glare from the light was just right, it wouldn't be as visible. And all of these temporary blips are things that we experience on the regular. So Doc mentioned, well, with the dress, if it's really bright in your environments, you're going to see it differently than if it's really dark in your environment. And that's something that every single one of us experience. You don't have to be colorblind. You don't have to have any sort of perceptual disability or deficiency. You just have to be you. When you walk out of a building in full light, and you might have to increase the brightness on your phone screen, that's probably something that every one of us has done before. And we talked about color blindness. The big clue here, and as Doc mentioned, is that what matters is not necessarily what color someone is seeing, but the amount of contrast. And one question that you will probably ask is well, so what exactly is the right amount of contrast to make your colors in your vizzes, universally or almost universally distinguishable? Fortunately, we have this magical group called the W3C, the World Wide Web Consortium. They have developed a set of standards called the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or WCAG, my favorite. And they have guidelines about what makes websites like Tableau dashboards perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. And so for color, they actually have some contrast ratios. So for normal text, and let's just call it 18 point, it's not the real number because, ideally on the web, you're able to zoom in and out, and ideally on a Tableau dashboard, you'll also be able to zoom in and out. But normal text, the contrast should be 4.5 to 1. Thank you for the link, David. 4.5 to 1 between the text color and its background. As text gets larger, that contrast ratio can get smaller. It's like when I zoomed in on one of those diverging bar charts. I was able to see where the light blue and the gray met because it was just bigger for me. And then for any graphical elements like actual bars on the diverging bar chart, it should also be 3 to 1. How do you calculate that? I have no idea. I go to a a color contrast checker like this one from WebAIM. And this chart here is an example of where one might have wanted to use that. This chart was presented at a Matimco staff meeting, and the presenter joked that, they were talking about the red dots, but actually they didn't know which ones were red or blue because they were colorblind. And if you run those colors through a contrast checker, well, yeah, 1.34 to 1. No, the contrast just isn't there. That's a really low ratio. So I've played with this color contrast checker in a variety of situations. One is when I worked in our fundraising department, our central fundraising department before Matimco. We had to build out a style guide, and I was being lazy. I wanted to use Tableau colors because I am a lazy developer. We also tested MIT colors, cardinal red and gray, both against black and white backgrounds. And the color contrast test said, use blue, use Tableau blue against a white background. And so we did. And then we tested it. And you know what users thought? What else is blue or what other text is blue on the web? Links. They kept trying to click those links. And I kind of did a bit of a facepalm at that moment. I was like, oh, right. Not only do we have to worry about color contrast, but we also have to worry about how people are used to seeing certain things on the web. So forget about color vision deficiencies here. I just had tunnel vision deficiency because I wanted the easiest option. So we did try, again, MIT red and other colors, and that ended up being the color with the highest contrast. And one really cool thing that we also did is we put all of those colors through the Coblis color blindness simulator, and then grabbed the colors from there and ran the simulated colors through the color contrast checker. And through this two-step process, we were able to ensure that, yeah, our choice was the right choice for people with, quote, normal vision, which, as Doc mentioned, none of us really have normal vision, but also for those with more extreme color vision deficiencies. So if you've gone through an exercise like we did to ensure that you have sufficient contrast between your colors, you want to make them reusable. Store them in the preferences.tps file and create a custom palette. You can then share that file with others in your organization and make sure that everyone is using the same tried and true, tested, accessible palettes. It does require knowing some XML. So if you don't know XML, don't want to know XML, check out the Style Manager for Tableau by Alex Wletzek. That can help you generate and update your preferences file through some simple drag and drop copy paste options, and it is a huge time saver. And if you really need to stick to your brand palette and doesn't offer sufficient contrast, find a good colorblind friendly palette, as Doc said, not any of the ones in Tableau, and then create a color switcher that utilizes that colorblind friendly custom palette. It's a 3-step process, and Andrew Keeble has a great video on it. And, we talked about color alone. Something else that Doc mentioned, color alone is not the right approach. You should always try to think about what happens if, how else you can make it easier to differentiate. Because that red and blue dot situation, if I had replaced those dots, the red dots with stars, it would be really easy to see. So color is no longer the only option, and it's not an issue anymore. The choice of color, or it's less of an issue. I'm going to speed through this, but this WCAG guideline is what Doc mentioned earlier. Color shouldn't be the only way to convey a particular piece of information. So use shapes, use words, use size, anything else to reinforce what you're trying to convey through color by means of double or multiple encoding. And with that, we are done with color. We do not have time for size or any of the other fun stuff that I had planned. So I'm going to speed through. There's a whole bunch of stuff. There's a recording on Salesforce Plus, and the slides are available on Salesforce Plus. And there's some dinosaurs here who really love data. And hold on, we're almost there. One quick way to make sure that you do make your data available to everyone, even those with mobility issues, is by adding something to help with that second set of stairs there. Some elements in Tableau are not screen reader accessible, so you can't. So people with who are using a screen reader can't actually navigate them. Tooltips aren't screen reader accessible. They will be soon. And in the meantime, provide them a full data view so they can download the data. You're giving them access in a different way, even and making the data roll-o-rama open to everyone. So that was a very quick loop. I want you guys to remember what the pop-out effect is, how pre-attentive attributes contribute to building more universally usable design. Use user research techniques like usability testing, the color contrast checkers, all those other tools that I mentioned to simplify the process of making a style that is usable and accessible and reusable. Words matter. Didn't really talk about this, but just use your words. Talk about accessibility, because the more you can normalize it, the more people will start to get it and start to realize that it's important. And then test and test and test again. Again, blue text, it passed color contrast checking, but dude, it was completely unusable because of how people think about blue text on the web in the real world. So thank you. Universal design and accessible design, they kind of go hand in hand. Sometimes one shakes into a cool little flip like this, and the other rattles around a bit, but often they simply rock and roll in sync. So thank you, and here we go.
That's terrific. Thank you, Roshni. And I put in, for those who want the longer presentation, put in the link. And let's see, Bart says, saw a tug video using ChatGPT to create a color palette. And you could create a company palette. So using our generative AI, you got a lot of great info. Thanks, many thanks coming into you, Roshni. Any questions? Got time for maybe one quick question for Roshni? All I know is now I'm going to have to update some of my dashboards.
And that's our goal, to
And
make
that is
your
our goal.
data viz practice
That's right.
better.
Keep it going. Keep it going. And again, we'll have the slides available for you. If you're watching this online, you know that already. And we're so glad to have you here. If you will unshare your slides there, Roshni. This is how you can contact her. You can visit her office if you go to Cambridge, maybe. I walk through. And now, over to you, Raquel.
Yes, just to remind you guys that our next meeting is going to be January 14th, and we're going to learn everything about prep. So I'm really excited about that one because that's a very powerful tool. And without delay, I would like to thank everyone for coming. I hope you had as much of a good time as I did.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. We still have lots of people who stayed all the way to the end. And we hope to see you again in January. Thanks, everybody, and have a great rest of your day. And to those who celebrate, happy Thanksgiving.